Welcome back. Across 4 countries in Southeast Asia, authorities are working against the clock to deliver much-needed supplies to more than 1 million people who have been forced from their homes by devastating flooding. Dramatic footage continues to emerge, including this town in Indonesia's Aceh province being submerged by floodwaters. Locals watching helplessly on. The water there so powerful it managed to carry off a house. The deluge was partly fueled by a rare tropical cyclone which dumped rainfall on Sri Lanka and parts of Indonesia's Sumatra, southern Thailand and northern Malaysia as well. The death toll in Indonesia is continuing to climb. Rescue services say more than 700 people have been killed so far, and it's feared hundreds more are buried in the mud. Across the Indian Ocean and Sri Lanka, more than 400 people have died. Military-led teams are scouring the impacted areas, searching for those who remain stranded. The army managed to rescue these people, 70 or so passengers who were trapped in a bus. And this is the view from above for you. Satellite images taken before and after the floodwaters swept through. One person in Indonesia telling the BBC the floodwaters were like a tsunami, bringing back terrible memories for many people across the region as well. Well, joining me from Colombo in Sri Lanka is Shara Danasakara, the editor of BBC News Sinhala, and from Jakarta, Estudestra Edrengrasti from BBC News Indonesia. Very good to have you both with us. If I could start with you, Ashara, what is the picture in Sri Lanka today?
As you clearly said, now the death toll has risen now from yesterday's 300 figures to 410, while the missing keep rising for 336, and 1.4 million people affected overall with the flood and the landslide that has occurred during the last few days. So the rescue operation is still going with Navy, Sri Lanka Army and the Air Force with the help of all this, with also from the local help, and also India has and Pakistan has generously offered their help for the rescue operations, while some of the infrastructure has been restored majorly for the damaged areas, widely damaged. The largest damage which caused in Kandy and Badulla has been restored, and we are hearing certain areas now they have at least opened some of the infrastructure, especially the access roads, and some of the essential service has been restored back, especially electricity and the mobile connections and the essential items for these people. However, like the death toll is keep rising, and today we are getting some of the footage from isolated villages we never heard earlier that has been affected, and the half of the village people have been unfortunately been affected by these floods, especially the landslide situation. So the situation, the numbers are going to rise. But right now, the cyclone has been moved from the country, so we expect no rain in the coming days, but the death toll is going to be high.
Yeah, it's a devastating picture across Sri Lanka. And Estudestra, what about in Indonesia, particularly in Aceh, I guess, at the moment, where there are still areas, I understand, that are cut off?
Yeah, when we woke up this morning here in Indonesia, the number of death casualties was at 600 and more. But now at 7 p.m. Indonesia's time, we have 744 people died, 500 more remains missing, and more than 3.3 million of people are affected by these floods and landslides. In Aceh particularly, a lot of the places have not been able to receive aids. The Indonesian government, the president, yesterday he visited some of these places and promised that help is on the way, and the rescue team are still trying as best as they can to clear up the road. It is mentioned that in Aceh, more than 50 kilometers of road has been blocked by massive amounts of mud. So you can imagine how difficult it is to reach these isolated areas, and aids have to be delivered to that places manually, either by foot or by motorcycles. So we're hearing a lot of stories from people in this area, from Aceh and Tapanuli particularly, that they haven't received any aids after almost a week of being isolated from the outside world. They are claiming that food now is very scarce, there's no clean water, there's no clothing, and people have to loot stores and warehouse in order to find food in their desperations.
Ashara, Sri Lanka's president has called this the most challenging natural disaster in the country's history. Given what the island has been through in the past, that is quite a statement. Where is the biggest challenge, do you think, right now? I mean, is there access to things like clean water everywhere?
So, right, as you said, like, it is one of the biggest devastation we have faced after the tsunami, if I'm not wrong. So, as you said, it'll be very quite challenging for us because we are in a very tight schedule with IMF at the moment to meet our economic like goals with them. And on December, we are supposed to have the next schedule with the IMF. And after the 2022 protest, which the country was devastated by an economic crisis, and we were just about to rise as a country with meeting the financial targets, whatever. So it has been very challenging. But the latest UN report that has been out yesterday evening says that the government response has been very swift, and they have allocated 30 billion rupees for the immediate relief to avoid the possible delays and further assistance to be provided. And they are particularly happy about the the AIDS program that has been initiated. And apart from that, what is challenging for us is that all the infrastructure and the more major devastation yeah like major devastation has occurred in these tourist areas which we were about to boom. So December to April is the season for Sri Lankans, like the tourist season, and this is hugely going to impact the economy because we are supposed to bring a lot of money into the country that will definitely have an effect. And apart from that, the clean water, so that has been provided immediately, and there has been a lot of relief contrary to Indonesia, I guess. And there's a lot of support given from the community itself apart from the government. So
Okay.
there are challenges that has been met.
Ashara and Esther, thank you very much for updating us on what is happening. But let's bring you a little bit more now with Dedek Ananda, who is currently in West Sumatra. That is one of the regions we've just been talking about, worst affected by the flooding. Good to have you with us at a really terrible time for Sumatra. We've just been hearing about clean water and how there is quite a bit of it available in Sri Lanka. It's not a big issue, but how is it where you are? Dedek, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hello. Just wondering what the situation is where you are in terms of access to clean water across West Sumatra.
Yeah, in my area in Padang, West Sumatra, we have been heavily affected by the flash floods and landslides. Many homes and small businesses were flooded or damaged. It's also damaged the clean water facilities, and it's cut the supply of the clean water in my city.
How was it when the floods hit? Were you given enough warning by the government?
Talking about warning, there were weather warnings in the region, but the intensity of the suddenness of the rains is very, very, very strong rains, and combined with the local factor like land degradation, deforestation, and it's become more worse than the usually. It meant many communities had a little time to fully prepare to the thing that will happen.
Have you seen floods like this before? Because you are used to heavy rain and the monsoon season. This must just feel so different, though.
Yeah, they are getting worse every year. Even though the meteorological agency have warning issues every month, every rain season, but it's getting worse every year because the the forest is getting deforestation. But however, the survivors and experts report that the flood and landslide develop quickly in some place, combined with the government and police. Yeah.
Dede, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, and thank you for sharing what is going on in West Sumatra. As he was mentioning, real anger growing about deforestation, the effect this might have had, and of course climate change also expected when we look at the situation more closely to have played its part in these devastating floods.